And also, they're locked in now. Once they've chosen their car for this race, ladies and gentlemen, cars, that is it. They are stuck with that car for the rest of the championship. So with the BOP, there's going to be cars that are faster at certain circuits than others. Moritz Lerner from Lewis Pop. Kevin Siggy's going to do well from Brett Metcalf. Miguel Amarin is just talking about more cars. You can't keep everyone happy here. Just more cars, more cars, more cars. Naboja is supporting Markovic. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get underway here, waiting for those red lights to appear at the top of your screen, and then we will get, well, we are going here as we've got a rolling start. So we will go round the first lap, and then it goes into a rolling start, as you have in the DTM as well, and should give us around about 15 minutes of racing here. So it will be Siggy that takes them away. Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? You know, we get this whole lap here to build up the tension, get excited. Anyone else? Moritz, who else? No one else? No one else is going to be giving us predictions as to who they think is going to do well. How important is it going to be that there are two DTM eSports drivers behind Kevin Siggy here? They're going to be able to work together. Is it a case of Lerner? I know it's really early in the championship and we're already talking about potential tactics, but is there a case for that #1 car to help his teammate out here and if he's not able to make an overtake, slow the rest of the pack down just to guarantee some good points for his team? Or is it a case of they're just going to go out, you know, hell for leather and get it done?
Look, it's always helpful to have a teammate in any race, let alone near you in any given race. So Krippner and Lerner, they have a lot of options here. Maybe not when it comes to the sprint race, but of course when it comes to the actual endurance race a little bit later on, they can try some interesting things with regards to strategy. Keep one car out just to keep applying the pressure when one car comes down in and tries to get an undercut. You can do it the other way around as well. So for DTM eSports, having those two cars up there is a huge advantage compared to Kevin Siggy, who's basically all alone and has to be looking in his wing mirrors all the time. But these guys continuing on single file. At some point here in Sector 3, they'll get themselves double file for our start. And of course, there is a restart zone that these drivers will have to pay attention to as well. So you can't be getting yourself a penalty in the first 2 seconds of the race.
No, absolutely not. So you've got to, you know, take care of this situation. Make sure you get off the line well, but not too well. Don't give yourself, you know, an uphill battle for the rest of this race. So here we are then, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the sprint race. We've got the endurance race to come up for you a little bit later in the broadcast, but this is around about 15-minute racing here. Siggy will take us away in pole position. Krippner is in second, and then we've got Lerner and Ottaviani as your second row of the grid. And well, let me know, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat right now where you're watching from around the world. I want to see where you are watching from. We saw, well, someone put in the chat earlier on that they're watching from Brazil. So where else are we watching from around the world then? Here we go then, 15 minutes, 30 seconds, around about 15 minutes of racing here for our sprint race. It is Siggy that will take us away here at Imola. It is the DTM eSports 2022 race #1. There are 12 in total, and who is going to set their stall here? And Siggy gets them away as they cross the line. And I tell you what, it's a phenomenal start here from Ottaviani. The DTM eSports team are in a little bit of trouble here as Lerner's actually up to P2 from P3. Krippner's going to drop back here. And can that BMW make a charge around the outside here of the Ferrari? Gets the overlap. Not quite going to work out here. Ottaviani then trying to hold on to P3. Not able to do so. As they come through the first chicane, then the BMWs have indeed held onto the positions, but they swapped over. Look at the speed in the straight line of that BMW of Moritz Lerner. Kevin Siggy holds on to keep the lead.
Yeah, Siggy was very much challenged there into turn #1 and in towards Tosa, the hairpin coming up the hill. He'll have to try and defend again as Lerner tries to go the long way around, but cold tyres here at the start of the race. He doesn't get the grip on the outside required to maintain the overlap all the way up the hill. So Siggy lives to fight another day. You pointed out the great start from Ottaviani. Didn't quite capitalize that on much than he would hoped. So he had a big run on the front row, but kind of got stalled out a little bit here here at the very start of lap number 1 into Acqua Minerale for the first time. Vast majority of the field single file as Ottaviani gets a very good run off the corner. He might be able to make something happen into Variante Alta. No, he's just going to stay in line for now.
Yeah, it's really good for the front two. It means they've been able to drive away ever so slightly here. Siggy now a half a second advantage here over Lerner. Lerner still in that slipstream, and we've just seen that the BMW in a straight line is absolutely lightning. But through sector number 2, the more technical sector of Imola, really the Ferrari is a much stronger package all around. Let's get on board with the front two here then, and let's see whether Lerner can indeed close up to him. Look how close they are. Here we go then, across the start-finish line. Oh, a lovely bit of onboard here. You can see the gap is visibly closing down. The BMW's got a head of steam here, down and towards turn number 1. Siggy will hold that inside line here. Lerner may be going for a fake. He's not going to be able to. He's got that side-by-side, a little bit of an overlap again. Siggy runs a little bit wide though, and the pressure really is on. Lerner is on the inside, not quite going to be able to make that move. And I tell you what, Siggy is all over the place right now. Again, it's a 15-minute race. You know, you've got to keep holding your position. You've got to defend from the front. You've got to really attack your defensive moves. I think in an hour-long race, you've got to be a little bit more placid, but he's doing the job he needs to do here to get maximum points.
Yeah, great defense there from Siggy. He knows now, he probably even knew before the race with all the preparation as well, that BMWs are absolute weapons in a straight line. However, the benefit of the Ferrari seems to be through the corners. You saw it through the hairpin there. He's able to gain about a tenth of a second through the hairpin alone. But, you know, the thing that doesn't work in the favour here for Siggy is that Imola has a very long front straight all the way from the final corner in towards turn number 1. So he has to try and defend that line every single time, it feels like, in this race. And it only requires one time for Moritz Lerner to squeeze his way through.
Yeah, he already made a mistake, didn't he? Luckily, he just about had a car's length to work with, where on the exit of turn number 1, Lerner was just not able to hold that overlap on the exit. We go a little bit further back here. Vermeulen's made a position up in from 6th to 5th. Price 6th position. Fiducci, Hugveld 7th and 8th. Hassa are indeed in 8th and 9th position. Not sure. Is that Pliska in 10th? I think it is. Pliska's in 10th position there, the Italian. We've then got Yarshall, Keithley, Dinya, Markovic, Pajic, Raschel, Nagy. We've got Pinches, and then we've got Gassner as your top 19. And then we've got Dorniden in 20th position. I've just remembered all of those names from abbreviations. What a guy. We've got Vermeulen then just about holding on to that top 5 position, but he is under some severe pressure here from Isaac Price. If someone can make a move, it's Isaac Price. He is a pretty aggressive driver, very calculated with it as well. He's gone on the brakes a little bit early here, trying to force that Ferrari offline. And I tell you what, on the exit here, Price has got the outside line. It's not quite going to work out, but again, you can see that he's trying to make something work here. He's got the Fordzilla team of Fiduci just in behind, trying to pick up any potential pieces that's left behind by these two. But really, the front 4 are just using this to their advantage, aren't they? They've just completely driven away.
Ooh, Fiduci sticking one down the inside of Price at Tosa. Can't get anything done there, though. It was just a bit of a scare to try and get Isaac Price offline, but he seems to have been immune from a move like that. But you can see, like, exactly as you said it there, Luke, the front 4 breaking away at the moment. Axel Vermeulen can't keep up, it seems, with these guys. So this works out in the front 4's favour. It allows them a little bit of space, maybe towards the end of the race, to have a little bit of a scrap without those additional third parties getting themselves involved. But Siggy has held on to this race lead quite well so far in this one. You can see the Ferrari just sliding its way through towards the exit of Variante Alta there. Of course, tyre wear, not too much of a problem here in this 15-minute sprint race. However, that will be a little bit more of an issue in the endurance race, where they have to do the, well, on average, 30-minute stints. Of course, it is a pit stop window that these guys will have to come down in on, and we'll see tyre performance become more of a factor then.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Tombo Wombo giving us both some gas. Love that. They both made a mistake out of Acqua Minerale. They both made a mistake, actually, both sliding in the rear to the car already, so very much struggling. And it was Lerner went right to the right-hand side of the uphill section into that final chicane, into Variante Alta. And there used to be a guttering in that side of the circuit. I don't know if you remember that, but it used to be like a, I don't know, it's just like a divot where the water would run through for drainage. Now it's a curb, so you're good, but he's lucky, because if it was the old system, he would have been dragged off into the grass there. Because as soon as you get 2 wheels into that divot, it just drags you off. But yeah, now with the curbing, you see there the Italian flag curbing. It's not such a big deal. Has anyone moved up from the back end here? Looks like Fox is still P29, right? Whitford's not had a good time in P27, although he's just moved up to P26. But Rudinger, P21, you'd expect him to be a little bit higher in the final points man position. But at this stage of the race here, what is it? There's 10 seconds separating the top 22 drivers. That is phenomenal. So, as much as I was saying there was guaranteed to be some action, there's going to be some crashes potentially, it just really hasn't been. Really good stuff from this group of drivers.
Yeah, things have been really consistent as far as everyone down the field. We've kept everyone. No one's retired in this race. No one's had a horrible spin and is about 20 seconds behind everyone else. Everyone's sort of in a roughly one big train, at least as far as this main pack or this, what to use a cycling term, a peloton is concerned, as we see Tim Yarshall diving his way down the inside of Pilsker. Has he overcommitted on the exit of the first Ravazza, though? He might have, so Pilsker is able to slip back in underneath.
Yeah, it just would have cost them both time here, really, more than anything. And it's a struggle, really, when you're up against the same car in front of you, because you know the strengths and you know their weaknesses, because it's exactly the same as yours. But also, on the flip side here, he's got a teammate in that Ferrari, and if he can force Pilsker to make a mistake here, it could be, well, it's going to be 3 wide here for sure. Ferrari decides to back out. That could have been, well, that was Dinya, so Dinya nearly. Oh, that's a big spin. Big spin. He just gets on top of the curb there. He puts the power down too early as the car's unsettled. And unfortunately, once the wheels then re-touch down on the tarmac, the car just wants to do its own thing there. It's like a happy dog. It just wants to spin. And unfortunately, he's going to drop right down. Where is Yarshall going to end up? It's P29. So you're battling for a top 10 1 second, and now you're P29, just because how close and clean this race has been. Very, very unfortunate there. And again, it's a sprint race. You've got to try and make something happen, but ultimately, you don't want it to have a massive detrimental effect. Getting big points in race 1 is huge moving forward. But ultimately for Yarshall, that's not going to be the case today. Look at this. Look at that cars all over the place. Sparks being flung up here. Do you think that Siggy and Lerner are on the limit? Well, judging by what we're seeing on our screens right now, absolutely. Are we going to see a potential move here, Connery, from Lerner? Is he going to be close enough? Or is it a case of, do you know what? There's not really any point in making a move. Get big points, move forward to the main race, and see what you can do there.
Well, for Lerner, I don't know. I can't get inside his head and tell exactly what he's thinking. However, we know over the last couple of years he's become more of a cool, calm and collected driver than he used to be. So he might just be happy just to sit in P2 here, take the points and have a look to do something in the endurance race. However, you can never really 100% tell a driver's mindsets, especially in these sorts of situations when the race lead is right there and you're getting this big old draft down the straight every single time. Here's another attempt here for Lerner, looking to the outside, but you saw what Siggy did there. He parked that Ferrari right in the middle of the road, forced Lerner to make a big decision, either going to the outside and try and commit to a small gap on the outside, or dive to the inside, which will not give him the line in through the chicane. It's great defensive driving here from Siggy at the moment.
I'm absolutely loving the cock cam there for sure on the BMW, but these two battling for position. Siggy keeps going defensive. Look who's caught up though, Krippner. You would assume that Krippner's not going to try and dive his teammate. Like, I know it's an individual championship right now, but you also got to factor in that it's the top 5 that win the prize. So the top 5 will indeed go to a sighting event during the DTM calendar this year, and they will be effectively judged, and the best one out of the 5 candidates will be given a full paid drive in the DTM Trophy 2023. So again, winning the race is great, getting big points is great, but if you can just get yourself top 5s week in, week out, every single race, you're pretty much guaranteed to go out there and be in the top 5 at the end of the championship. So, P2 isn't too bad, P3 isn't too bad, ultimately gives you more of a buffer, but yeah, this is fantastic to see from the likes of Siggy, Lerner, Krippner up there, Ottaviani, Vermeulen. I'm really, really chuffed to see someone like Vermeulen as well. Fiducci is another driver that I would say over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, they've really announced themselves in the world of sim racing, and you're seeing them now, not just on Race Room, but on other sims as well. They are really just there or thereabouts in every competition they enter now, which is fantastic for sim racing. There are so many talented drivers out there right now, as we still are on board then with Lerner and indeed Siggy. He is going to get that overlap once again here, and I think for the first time, he's got his nose just about ahead here, and I tell you what, this might be a move, it might be configured, it could be beautiful. Siggy though, still on that inside line, the BMW with that pace advantage as we come down in towards this very fast chicane before we head down into the hairpin, and it's done. Moritz Lerner, of course, our current champion in the DTM eSports, a DTM trophy driver. He's been patient. He's waited 11 minutes to do so, but he is now in the lead. And look at this, Krippner looking to go through as well. Not quite going to work out. And this is perfect for Lerner. He needs Siggy and Krippner to battle, which means that Lerner can drive away. But there's been a few murmurs that Lerner maybe not at the right pace to go out and take the championship once again, become a 2-time DTM champion. Well, he has absolutely come here and thrown that rumour in the bin as he now leads race number 1.
Yeah, it was a great move there from Lona, and he set that up over the last couple of laps. He's sensed as, oh, Siggy, that's a bit too much of an off-track there. You got to be so careful with cutting the course like that, otherwise you might get yourself a slowdown penalty. However, it seems like he's been able to get away with it for now, but you can see now trying to drive above his means here at the moment, trying to lock back onto the back of Lona, but Lona already starting to pull away a little bit. 0.5 of a second is the gap between P1 and P2. Of course, Siggy will get the slipstream out of the final corner into turn 1 this time, but we haven't seen the performance of that Ferrari in the slipstream. We've just seen it trying to defend. We saw the BMW get a huge run. Maybe not the case here with the Ferrari, depends on the run out of the final corner, of course, but for Lona, maintaining that 4.5 of a second ahead at the moment.
Yeah, BMW just is an absolute rocket ship in a straight line, even though it's punching the world's biggest hole in terms of the size of the car for the Ferrari. But ultimately, there's another BMW behind Siggy as well. And if I'm Siggy, I'm just making sure I get P2. You do not want to be losing any more positions here. He will close up naturally through the middle sector, which we're about to begin. Again, the Ferrari just seems a little... Oh, that's another mistake there. He is bashing on the curbs, and now he's under some severe pressure from Kripner. So, again, it's take it easy, get P2, take your medicine, move on to the endurance race. But I tell you what, that BMW is right up his chuff pipe here as we come up the hill, then come up towards Piratella, and it looks like he's going to live to fight another day. Siggy, though, has got this middle sector to his advantage. The Ferrari very much more nimble through the corners on the curbs. But again, he's just taking, you noticed it, he keeps taking too much on exits of corners or cutting the corner a little bit too much. And ultimately, the curbs around here, they are very much raised, especially with those yellow little sort of bumpy curbs as well. It will just send you offline, it will send you off circuit. And again, it's kind of an Italian-style track, right? In terms of, you've got the same similar sort of curbs at Misano, you've got a similar at Monza as well, to stop people from cutting the chicanes too much. So, yeah, you just got to try and stay online here. And again, take your medicine. Ottaviani maybe looking to try and get a couple of Ferraris there in that top 3.
Yeah, he's been waiting here patiently as the driver from Italy, of course, in the quite essential Italian car as well, on board with the Ferrari out of the final corner. So let's see what he can do from this position. He's been this 4th car in this leading quartet at the front of the field, but hasn't made too much of an impact just yet. Of course, there's only so much he can do in that Ferrari with this straight line speed deficit he has compared to the BMW. You can see the BMW ahead, pulling away despite the Ferrari having the slipstream towards the end of the straight there. That's how much of an advantage that it has. But yeah, let's see what Ottaviani can do from here. Of course, Kripner has his sights set on Siggy at the moment. You can see that gap developing for the race lead again. 1.6 seconds, the gap that has been pulled out by Moritz Lona already. That's how strong he seems to be at this stage. Didn't quite hook it up in qualifying, it seems, but in race pace, it seems like there's no one better at the moment.
Vermeulen Price are having a massive old ding-dong here. Look at how far offline Vermeulen's going to defend up towards Piratella. They will come, and I tell you what, Price is very close indeed. If he can nail this middle sector, he will have that long run down in towards turn number 1 once again. Although it's going to be closest to whether this is the last lap. They crossed the line pretty much bang on their qualifying time, so I have no idea as to whether we're going to get one more lap here or not. So I'm going to tentatively call this the last lap, but I'm pretty sure we will have one more to go. I'm not quite 100% sure how it's going to go down, but we'll figure it out. Maybe we get 2 race finishes here for the price of 1, which is always good. Down towards then what will be the final double left-hander here through Ravazza, and Moritz Lerner is, of course, already a DTM eSports champion. Got his DTM trophy seat because of it, and he's about to come up towards the line here and take the checkered flag. 5 seconds to go. It's going to be mighty close, but I think it is going to be the final lap of the race. Or is it? No, we got one more. It was right bang on 0. Has he done it? I don't know. I think there's one more.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him as finished. How about that? It was basically between 0 and 1 second heading his way across the line there. And we go one more. So another chance potentially for things to change further down the field in this battle for P2. Perhaps not all that much towards the very end, but we do have battles further down the order involving Rachel and Payet and others as well. So they'll be very thankful for this extra lap.
Yeah, Marco Payet was again racing last night in the VCO ERL. So yeah, double duty for him this week, which is difficult to prepare for 2 different competitions, but still doing relatively well. He's going to earn some decent-ish points. Price, as you can see here, is now under a bit of pressure from Gianmarco Fiducci from Team Fordzilla. I love the Fordzilla livery. I just think it's just so unique, and it's just, I don't know what the term would be. I'm a 35-year-old man, so it's like so down with the kids. It's just like, it's like graffitied car. It's just new age. I don't know. I'm just sounding I'm sounding like more of a boomer every time I say anything. But yeah, I just think it's a really cool livery from Fordzilla, and it's kind of across all of their games that they do indeed take part in. Lerner, though, here we go. Take 2 for race number 1. He has got the double left-hander to go here, then the long run towards the start-finish line. And it wasn't easy. Kevin Siggy qualified pole, and he led for, what, about 11 minutes here. But Moritz Lerner kept trying to make that move into turn number 1. Got the overlap, and through 3, he indeed managed to hold on to that position. He is our champion for the DTM eSports currently. And while race 1 of 2022's version is going to go to that number 1 car for Dur Esports, it's Moritz Lerner. Siggy takes P2, Krippner P3, Ottaviani P4, Vermeulen takes 5th position. We've got Price, Fiducci, Hassa. We've got Hugveld and Pliska as your top 10. We've got a hellacious little battle here as 3 BMWs then cross the line holding hands. A Ferrari there of the number 87. That's one of our wildcard drivers comes through as well. Had a bit more pace there around the outside for some reason. But here are your official results. Take us through it, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely. Moritz Lerner takes the race win here in the sprint race. The first sprint race of the season with Kevin Siggy P2, Krippner P3 with Ottaviani in P4, Axel Vermeulen P5 of Isaac Price in P6. Then P7 you've got Gianmarco Fiducci, Florian Hassa, Christopher Hugveld, Peter Pilsker rounds out the top 10. And then of course you have the drivers outside the top 10 involving Dinya, Keithley, Markovic, Rachel, Pajic down to P15 here today. And Nagy, Pinces, Donaden, Garsner and Rudinger round out the top 20 cars. Of course, it's down to P21 where the points go, so P21 will go to Max Pfeiffer, he'll get the last point. And then those outside the points, Vanna, Yarshel, Witvot, Mosin, Rodriguez, Fox and Ringer.